All of the League One teams are now eliminated from the US Open Cup, and now we can all focus on the chaos of the regular season. Welcome to another episode of League One on the Rocks. My name is Rich. You can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at I'm Rich, but I'm not. And the man who we all know deserves a statue, but with his prediction last week, almost removed any doubt in anybody's mind as to why he deserves that statue. You can find him on Twitter at Mediocre Ace. Brian, how are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Aside from um, the statue praise, which I don't think is warranted quite yet, I still didn't get it. Um, Feel really good, man. My new favorite artist puts out a new album tonight, and the 2.5 hours. So I've got a company party for work tomorrow, so I don't have to worry about being up too late 'cause it's up here in Elkhorn, so I ain't got to wake up super early to drive. But feeling pretty good. It's gonna be a good night.
That's
Minus
awesome.
all of
Who's
the
your favorite
League One
artist?
teams. Minus all the League One teams getting kicked out. But Sleep Token is releasing a new album tonight. So
Sleep Token. Okay.
yeah, that's the sweatshirt behind my head. Is their logo.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so
Cool.
yeah, I've seen them once. I'm gonna go see them again in October, I believe, in Lincoln. So should be a good time.
Nice. I don't think I've ever heard of them, so I'll have to check them out.
You gotta like really progressive metal music.
All right, I'm there. Who was the band you told me about that does the metal covers or the 80s hair band covers?
Oh, Hairball.
Hairball, yeah. Ooh. After you told me about that, I looked it up. I want to check them out.
Yeah,
That looks like a good time.
it is a really really good time. I would suggest it to anybody that's a fan of any 80s music, 80s metal music. They do a really good job of covering them.
That's cool. Well, what are you drinking tonight?
I just have water tonight. Like I said, I mean, I have a company party for work tomorrow, so I wanted to save the boozing for tomorrow.
Yeah, it is. So it's Union Omaha's first home match this coming Saturday, and I cannot exaggerate enough how much like crunch there is when you're doing your final prep and all that kind of stuff for the coming match. And so I am going to be drinking Elijah Craig tonight.
Very good, very good.
Now, if you have certainly watched us in the past on nights when I have had Elijah Craig, you know that things can get a little interesting. Um, Elijah Craig is really good and tends to lead to some good times.
I,
So yeah, we're gonna start the night off strong. Oh, it
very good.
smells so good too,
I mean, they're
and
always
it did
good
not
times,
cost
right?
$150.
Yeah, no super expensive brews or spirits tonight.
Yep.
No over
Cool.
$100 bottles. Can't be doing that.
Oh yeah, that's good. Good stuff. All right, let's get into some league news. First and foremost, Coach of the Month goes to One Knox's Ian Fuller. Congrats to him. Well deserved too.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Um, he was unbeaten in the month of April. We've seen, I mean, we've all been watching these matches. He's been having an incredible run during this period, and um, you know, having players mentioned on Team of the Week, being named Player of the Week. You know, One Knox is certainly building a case for teams to look out for. If you're not looking out for them already, you definitely should because this is a hot team.
Yeah, real hot. They found a way to take that defense and find an offense, and it's definitely paying off for them.
They led the league in expected goals with 7.72. I'm reading this straight off the article from the league website. Only conceded 2 goals in the month of April and as we said earlier, has 0 losses in the month of April as well. So incredible month of April for One Knox fans. Um, and we're going to talk about that here pretty soon. But the transition over to the new stadium, having over 6,000 fans in that stadium, incredible.
Hmm.
So if you aren't going to One Knox matches and you're in the area, you definitely should be, because you have something special in your city and you should be witnessing it.
As anybody in any League One city should. All of our attendances should look this strong in every single city.
Totally agree. And then so we did coach of the month. Now we can do player of the month, and that went to Spokane's Anwar Pelaez. Um, and we've certainly been talking about him outside of the show, because he's been in constant, our list for player of the week and everything. Just a routine mention from us. Had 2 goals and 2 assists in the month of April.
Yeah, super solid player. And I think really with Spokane jumping up in the rankings to number one this week with that last win, um, really kind of cements something that we've been saying the past few weeks now, that this is a real Spokane team that came to play this season, and they are proving very early on that they are not Lexington 2.0.
Yeah. And I know that was a genuine fear among a lot of fans, especially when they were coming out the gate and only winning one of their first three, all across all competitions. But ever since that 0-0 draw at home to Portland, they've just been on an absolute tear, going 4 wins straight across all competitions, um, and only conceding 1 goal in each of those 4 matches. Able to do things on both sides of the pitch. Just great stuff happening out there in Spokane. And then we had goal of the week, which went to Richmond's Josh Kirkland, for one of the goals scored against Greenville this past week. That one was a good goal, because uh, typically when you're at a sharp angle going toward the goal, they always tell you to shoot high. And that's exactly what he did, like just straight up fundamentals. And he was able to get it right in that top bin.
Mhm. Yeah, not an easy shot from that angle, and not one you're likely to see go in very often. Um, Obviously, getting goal of the week kind of just proves that as well going forward. That I mean that sets the bar super high for it. May not get the most style points, but as far as technically sound shots, that's got to be one of the best we've seen.
Yeah. And not only was the goal nice, but the setup was really nice too, because to curve the ball the way that it had to be done in order to connect with Josh Kirkland it had to be just right. And that's exactly the way it played out. Another bit of news coming out of Richmond, they decided to sign their academy midfield talent, Jonathan Gomez. So once again, that commitment to the youth in Richmond. Um, and here's another piece of evidence toward that. They are really committing to the future of that club.
Yeah, and we talked about it before on the show. That's something that more teams need to start adopting. And I mean, we've sung Richmond's praises for that, and they come out the gate and show again that they are a team willing to do that and are going to continue to do this moving forward, which is only setting up great things for the league moving forward as well. And hopefully, more teams will take notice and get their academies rolling and get some guys in from those academies.
Yeah, it's really cool. I really like the stuff that's happening in Richmond on that front. That's really, really cool. Well, we can jump straight into the week 9 recap. We had 6 matches. We were scheduled to have 6 matches. We had to drop one because Avialta and Naples was postponed for Saturday, June 28th due to travel delays. But Week 9 still got kicked off on Friday evening with a barn burner between Richmond and Greenville. Now, the play-by-play was saying right away when it was 1-1, they were already calling a barn burner. And I was thinking, all right, let's pull it back a little bit. We don't need to say that just yet. Nope, they called it because it ended up being 3-3.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, going into this, I didn't expect it to be this high scoring, obviously. And just the fact that you have both of these teams up in the rankings. Obviously, again, rankings at this point of the season really don't mean a ton, but it kind of gives you a barometer at least for where teams are when they're all relatively close in games played, as opposed to some more teams sitting on 4 and 5, or others, Richmond sitting on 8 and Greenville sitting on 7. I mean, it gives you a little bit more to work with, but either way, just a strong showing from both of these teams. I mean, it takes a lot of resolve to get in and be in a match like this, and just showing that Greenville coming out and showing that they can score goals. I mean, we kind of already knew Richmond was capable of scoring goals. Neither team really played a super sound defensive match in this one, which I was not expecting from Greenville. Expected them to be a little bit more sound. Usually, if you're Greenville and you score 3 goals, more often than not, you're winning that match. Um, their defense is usually just that good. But I think watching this match, you go back to the talent that Richmond has brought in and really started to gel as an offensive unit, and everything in this match just kind of, I guess, proved to the rest of the league that Richmond is not going to be a fluky one-off team this year. I think the Kickers came in and made an announcement with this one saying that they're here to score and they're here to stay.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of exciting matches inside City Stadium, and we're only a quarter of the way through the season. So to think about the rest of the season that we have ahead of us and all those matches that are going to be in City Stadium, it's really, really fun to think about the possibilities that lie ahead. Because when Chandler O'Dwyer scored in the 80th minute, I thought for sure they had this one in the bag. But Greenville scored in the 84th. It's just, man. And Nil Soifert, we talk about him every week, but this is a guy that continues to show that he's making an immediate impression and he has some true talent that I think Richmond needs to lock him up like as soon as they can.
Hmm.
Maybe give him another year of development and all that kind of stuff. But I can tell you that championship teams are going to be looking at him here very, very quickly.
Yeah, and that's the great and horrible thing about League One is, yeah, he's here this year. Will he be here yet next year? Probably not. Not if he continues the run of form that he's been on as of late. And I fully expect that to continue. So I would be shocked and or really happy for him if the money gets shelled out to keep him in League One as opposed to go up to the championship. Because either way, he's going to get his money.
Yeah, he really is. Um, Josh Kirkland having that brace in this match. So this is one where it was really tough to get a true gauge on both teams. Brian hit on that when he was talking about how it wasn't really the most sound um, defensively played match that we've watched this season. Um, but it was certainly one that was exciting for the people watching at home, or I mean even in the stadium. All the late drama that's happening in City Stadium, there's something in the water there. I don't know what is going on, but whatever is going on, I would love to catch a flight and go to Richmond and catch another match out there. That'd be cool.
Yeah, ASAP for sure.
Yep. Well, we go from a match featuring 6 goals to a match featuring 0. We go to Saturday's match between Ford Madison and Union Omaha, ending in a 0-0 draw. Brian, tell us your impressions.
Yeah, this one. neither team really looked the part in this one. Um, just kind of obviously this is one that I watched more extensively than any other one, just being by virtue of being a fan of Union Omaha and it being a derby. I think both of these teams are still struggling to find an identity. And I think this match would have been huge for one of them if they were able to do that and able to come out with a victory in this one. Unfortunately, both teams really didn't seem like they were going to get it going really at any point in this match. It was super back and forth for the entire match. There was a lot of turnovers and a lot of I don't want to say super sloppy play, but there were moments in that match that were just not great to watch. If you're just looking as a pure fan of the game, I think both of these teams really need to go back and find something that's going to work for them. I think they both need a lot of work in the striking department. Their forwards need to be putting in a lot more work than they have been, and right now, I think Madison and Omaha are both essentially the same team, just teams fighting for an identity that really haven't found it yet.
Yeah, with the roster turnover that you just come to love and hate in League One, when Ford Madison lost Christian Cheney, they lost a significant goal scorer on their team. And you would think that players like Derek Gebhardt or Juan Galindres would be the ones to step into that role. And we haven't quite seen that from them. And same certainly on the flip side with Union Omaha, with losing Steven Dos Santos and Pedro Dolabella, you would look for players, you know, Joe Gallardo, Aaron Gomez, to be stepping into that role. We haven't quite seen that yet. So this was one of those matches where you weren't relying on a stellar goal scorer. You were relying more on moving the chess pieces. And as you watched it, you could see those chess pieces being moved, but ultimately it came down to the one-on-one battles, and there were some one-on-one battles that were happening out there that were costing the entire game plan that they were trying to execute. So there was this um, high up view of what was happening on the pitch, but then at the same time, if you're really keying in on just one or two battles in the pitch, you're seeing how much of an effect it has on the grand scheme of things, just with those two alone.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, like I said, both of these teams are going to need to find that that piece that can go out and replace what has been lost for both of these teams. Again, similar situations. They both also have really good coaches who I think will eventually figure out um, how these lineups can kind of gel together and the best way to utilize the players that they do have. But it needs to happen sooner rather than later for both of these teams. Both of these teams right now sitting under the playoff line, um, both sitting close to the playoff line just by virtue of the amount of games played at this point. Um, but if both of these teams continue to play in this kind of form, it's going to be a very long season for both of them.
Yeah, and for Union Omaha fans, they were watching TV just last night to see Union Omaha take on St. Louis City in the U.S. Open Cup. This was the round where every single USL League One club that was remaining in the Open Cup was knocked out from a matchup against an MLS squad. Um, Union Omaha lost to St. Louis City 2-0 on the road. And for a long time, this one was back and forth. It was very tight. And then just those two little moments, that's all it took to separate the two.
Yeah, and I think uh, you kind of saw what we were talking about with, or what I was talking about with the Union Omaha's issues with scoring. there there was a chance last night for Omaha to tie the match. Just a wide open sitter of a goal that was just beckoning for somebody to step up and put the ball in the back of the net, and it just didn't happen. There are some bright things to take from that match if you're a Union Omaha fan, obviously. Um, but at the same time, it's more of the same, kind of a lack of identity, a lack of it's just kind of a lack of overall cohesion between all of the chess pieces for them. And the same can be said about forward Madison. And it's one of those points in the season where it's early. They're probably going to get it figured out, and maybe we'll see some additions here before too long for both sides that kind of bolster that. But it's definitely something both of these teams are struggling with and need to get figured out.
Yeah, Max had a great chance in the first half against St. Louis. Keeper had to make a stunning save to keep that one out, and then you had Mehdi Wamri in the second half, who had that one, at point blank distance. So that one was a match where it, even though the XG on it, I think St. Louis City was around 1.6, and I think Union Omaha was,
It
what was
was
it
like a
again?
0.63.
Yeah, I had it backwards. St. Louis City was at like a 1.4, 1.5, and then Union Omaha was at that point 0.6, point 0.7 area, and it was one that could easily have been switched. It was a great night of soccer. There was a lot of good things happening out on the pitch. There were some individual performances you did not see coming either. Um, Lawrence Wooten ran his butt off during that night. Kemi was on the hunt. It was a good looking night for Union Omaha overall, despite the loss.
Yeah, I mean, moving forward, I think they found their central midfielder. Um, I think it would be criminal not to have him playing every single match from here on out. Um, but yeah, I mean, the chips fell where they did, and now your focus turns on to the Jägermeister Cup and the league schedule. So
Yep. And we move on to another match that was on Saturday. Texoma hosting Charlotte, with Texoma lasting to the very end, but still falling just short with a three. I'm sorry, Charlotte taking a 4-3 loss on the road there in Texas.
yeah,
And this is
so
where we could have had the legend step up and earn his statue right there.
yeah, I mean, Texoma was due, and it did look early on as if Texoma was going to come in and win this match, like they were due. Charlotte came out a little bit flat, and Texoma jumped on it. In the end, though, I think the number of quality players uh, leaned a little bit more onto the Charlotte side, the more established side, which is going to happen for expansion teams. This is definitely a learning moment for Texoma to come in and give up a penalty in the 90 plus 5 to have the match come out of a draw to a loss. That's really tough. But if you're a Texoma fan, you can look at this performance and say, okay, we now know what we can do when we play to our full potential, and we're playing a team in Charlotte that kind of takes the night off here and there. But I mean, you go through and you look, both teams had 8 shots on goal, relatively close possession numbers, 55 to 44. Um, and I just want to point out too that Texoma scored 3 goals with 0 corner kicks. So nothing out of the corner, which wouldn't be shocking. Um, that they didn't score one out of a corner, except for the fact that they had 0 corner kicks in this match. Charlotte traditionally defends corners very well. They have a lot of height. They have a lot of athleticism in their lines to be able to get those off. But also 5 saves for Charlotte in this one. Definitely not the greatest night out there, but one that in the end got the job done. So this Texoma squad is showing some promise here, and I think they're going to be moving up the table here before too long. And you flip it and you see Charlotte still holding steady in this point. Um, Charlotte's sitting on 11 points for the season right now after 6 matches. That puts them in 5th place in the league right now in a very tight race. I will say the 2 teams above them also sitting on 11 points, but better goal differentials. So moving forward, Charlotte went in and saw that they can play a match that they don't play their greatest in and still come out on top, which I think for the Charlotte team that we talk about every year being inconsistent shows a whole lot and will help them further on down the season. But this was a thrilling one to watch. And I don't have rooting interests outside of Union Omaha, but during the show, I don't have rooting interests at all. So as a complete and total unbiased one, this one actually I enjoyed watching this match more than I enjoyed watching Greenville and Richmond.
Yeah, this one, I mean, I was texting you during the match, like, this is crazy. Like, what are we watching?
Hmm.
um, uh, Ajmer Spingo getting a brace, Solomon Asante getting his goal. And then, the list on the other side with Christian Cheney, Clay Dimmick, Alfredo Medense, Luis Alvarez, all happening for Charlotte. Like it was a thrilling match to watch. So entertaining. It was one of those where you celebrate one goal and you're just getting comfortable and you're like getting settled in, and there's another goal happening and you're already celebrating again. Like it was just one that as League One fans, like you just gotta love.
Yeah.
And it sucks that Texoma came out on the short end of that one because they were fighting hard. Like
Hmm.
they were fighting hard.
Yeah, they were. We got our first question in the live chat. Luke Martin coming in saying, "Who gets their first League One win, Texoma or Portland? Who gets their first League One win first, Texoma or Portland?"
Well, they're both on the road this weekend. Portland comes to Omaha, and Texoma goes to Avialta. Avialta plays really well at home,
Yeah.
and Avialta is still recovering from their Open Cup match on Wednesday. Portland, coming off that thrilling match that they had over the weekend, especially the high of such a massive attendance at their match, and Union Omaha playing last night. There's some dynamics here that could make things interesting.
Yeah. Um, but Luke, I mean, to answer your question, in my opinion, I think Portland gets it first. Um, I may or may not be talking about this week. We'll have to wait until we talk about the matches coming up to see if I think Portland gets it done this week or not. Um, but yeah, my money is on Portland. Just off the top of my head, I don't know what the rest of their schedule is after this weekend, but um, just based off the seeing both of these teams play, I have more confidence in Portland.
Well, let's look at this because Texoma goes to Avialta, and then I'm sorry, they go to. Oh my gosh, this is interesting. So Texoma goes to Avialta, then they host Union Omaha. Um, why am I? Yeah, Texoma, and then the other one, Portland. They go to Omaha, and then they host Naples. So if Portland gets it done before Texoma, I don't know. We're gonna have to wait for your results tonight. I am going to guess that Texoma wins first. I don't know. I'm going to throw that out there. Make things interesting. You go one way, I go the other. How about
Yeah,
that?
there we go. A little side betting going on.
Yeah. So we go from Texoma, Charlotte Independence. We go straight into Portland Hearts of Pine hosting One Knox. This was another thrilling match too. Elements, the crowd was there. It was their home opener, like their true home opener. They weren't playing in the other stadium there in Maine, but they're playing in Portland, like proper.
Hmm.
Um, and it's also interesting because just prior to this match, One Knox had their home opener at their new stadium in the Jägermeister Cup against FC Tulsa. They had 6,378 fans there. Then they go from this all-time highest League One match, like with a League One team in it. They go on the road to another massive attendance. This was the ninth highest attended USL League One match in history with 5,784. So One Knox no stranger to a large crowd.
Yeah, great for the league.
Yeah,
Great for the league. Yeah, this one is, as you said, Rich, really exciting to watch. A match that featured 6 shots on target and 23 shots in total. So no shortage of shots at all in this matchup. Um, they were split for the majority of this match. It played out like a 1-1 scoreline. A lot of back and forth momentum swings. It never really felt like either team was in a super um high place. Obviously starting off super strong with Knoxville scoring in the second minute uh helps a lot. But Portland pulling one back right before halftime, that's got to add a little bit of that element of, okay, now we got ourselves a match as soon as that happens. And I think you saw that. I think you saw both teams really trying to go after one another in this one to come out and get this victory. And I think both of these teams kind of came out and showed that they are they're legitimate teams. Portland, although sitting in 13th place on 3 points in 4 matches, this is one of those matches where you can build. You can build on this, especially playing One Knox sitting in third place with 11 points in 5 matches. So this, I think, is going to end up being one of those matches where you're going to see Portland get a lot of momentum coming off of this and kind of build on this. And as far as Knoxville, if you're One Knox, you know what team you have. This is just one of those where you went into a hostile environment and you came out with a point, which if you draw all your road matches and win all your home matches, that sets you up in a beautiful position. So not really much more you can ask. Obviously, a win is the best option. But I think One Knox going into this raucous crowd will walk away feeling like they did the job in getting a draw.
absolutely. Absolutely. Um, we've kind of mentioned it in the past where we didn't really know if Portland had been tested to their full potential, and we hadn't seen enough evidence of what we were hoping to see from Portland. We didn't really have a good gauge. Earlier on in the season, they went to Naples with a nil-nil draw. Then they went on the road to Spokane with a nil-nil draw. Looking back at those, now you look at this match where they hosted One Knox and they get a 1-1 draw. You start to get a little bit more of an idea of who they are, how they play. all that kind of stuff, especially against some of the top teams in the league. You look at One Knox, you look at Spokane, you look at Naples. Those, I mean, if you think of the three best teams in the league right now, um, I mean, those are the three that are coming to mind for me right away. And this is a team that went out there not only on the road, but bringing the competition to their own neck of the woods and still getting a point out of it. Portland is an interesting team. You got to be watching out for them. And for Union Omaha fans like Brian, um, that should be making you a little nervous.
Trying to stay stone
But
faced
for
so nobody knows where I'm going.
but for One Knox, this is a team that has only had one loss on the entire season across all competitions, and that one loss was against the reigning USL championship team. And One Knox had to go on the road to play them in the Open Cup, and they lost 2-3. So it was only a one goal differential. So if you look at all the rest of the matches that they've played, this is a team that has been keeping it tight. They have been doing their business, and they're a team that when they take the pitch, there's a sense of confidence, and it's a confidence that you only see in teams that have that true sense of security within themselves. And it's a team that knows that when they take the pitch, they're going to take care of business. And you see that with One Knox. You see it with the way that they carry themselves. Um, it's one of those intangibles that's really hard to find in pro sports, but One Knox has that.
Yep. Yeah, I completely agree. Um, I think both of these teams moving forward are going to be a handful for whatever team plays them, especially after one like this.
All right, so moving on from that match, we can go into the last match of the week. Also on Sunday, Spokane hosting Westchester, ending in a Spokane 3-1 victory. I think we both called Spokane in this one. It just seemed inevitable.
Yeah. I mean, Westchester came out and gave him a scare early, scoring in the 5th minute. Um, but then from there, it really Spokane really grew into this match, and by the about halftime, the 44th minute is when they tied it up, and really didn't look back from there. This was a match that featured 14 shots on target. Um, that's a whole lot going towards the towards the goal, where a lot of this defense for Spokane really had to hold strong, and did, and Westchester, unfortunately for them, did not. But going through everything else, it's really hard watching this Spokane team to really pick out any major weakness in their game. Um, right now, they're just playing really good, consistent soccer. And I think at this level, the more consistent you are, the better off you are. Uh, some may argue that and say, the more consistent you are, the more film people have on you. So maybe further in the season, we might see this dynamic change a little bit. But I think Spokane is just so technically sound that it's not going to matter how much tape you have on these guys. They're going to do the exact same thing and still beat you. I mean, this is the team that if I want to show somebody this season the potential of League One soccer, Spokane is my number one team that I would show them.
Good statement. That's good. Yeah, Spokane is another team. When I was talking about One Knox and that sense of security, Spokane is exactly the same way. I would even venture to argue that I feel like there's more camaraderie with Spokane, um, and that you see it with the way that they celebrate their goals and all that kind of stuff. They really come together for those celebrations, and it proves that last season was not a fluke. This is a team that's committed to excellence, and they're achieving it, and they're going to continue to.
Mhm.
They are currently 5 matches undefeated across all competitions, 4 straight wins, only conceding 1 goal in each of the last 4 matches. On the flip side, they are scoring 11 goals in their last 4 matches. Um, they have a lot of confidence right now, and it's unfortunate for whoever is facing them in the coming weeks because they are a team with laser focus. They play Tormenta this weekend, and then they go. Oh, and then they host Richmond. So 2 teams that know how to score, playing against a team that can score when they want to, but can also play equally good defense too.
Mhm.
Going to be good. Okay, so we've talked about all the matches from week 9. We find ourselves a quarter of the way through the season. So, Brian, what would you say is your biggest surprise of the season, and what would you say is what surprises you the least?
Um, I think it would be really hard to pick anything other than FC Naples being this good this early. Um, as my biggest like shock for this beginning part of the season. Um, I mean, look, they're in second place technically. I think wins is the next one. So yeah, goal differential going all the way down to the third tiebreaker, or the first tiebreaker is goals. So the first tiebreaker goal differential sitting Spokane with 9 for their goal differential, FC Naples at 6. Um, but an expansion side coming in and being this good, it shouldn't shock you so much if if you follow League One, especially like we do. th- There's precedent for this; it's been done, so it shouldn't be that shocking. I think it's shocking in the way that FC Naples has, up until this last part, this last match, has kind of dominated the league, and I think now they're starting to get a little bit figured out by these other teams. So it'll be interesting to see moving forward what direction they're going to end up going. Um, but a quarter of the way through the season, an expansion club sitting on tied for points for its first place team that made the finals last year. That's that's got to be my um, biggest surprise of the season. Not so surprised. Ooh, um, I think the strength of One Knox's defense this season is, I mean, it's not really a surprise to anybody, obviously. Um, Only allowing 3 goals. There's only 2 other teams that have allowed the same amount of goals. FC Naples being one of them, and surprisingly, Portland Hearts of Pine only allowing 3 goals to this point as well. Um, but yeah, One Knox's defense being strong and stout, not going to surprise anybody. The team is built around that defense.
If I'm going biggest surprise, if I'm picking a team, obviously I agree with you. I think Naples, I did not see that coming at all. Big surprise. But if I'm not picking a team and I'm just picking a general topic in League One, I would say how many goals that have been scored in the first quarter of this season. It's just crazy how many matches we're seeing with 4 and above goals. It's just what is happening? Is it a true like commitment to offense and less commitment to defense? Is it the offensive side of League One is truly outmatching the defenses? Is it undisciplined play from the defenses? It's just so weird to see such um, a high amount of goals being scored so early in the season.
Yeah, we've had
So that would be my pick
113
for
goals.
113 goals.
Yeah, I just did the math. 113 goals so far this season, a quarter of the way through the season. So if this
Wow.
pace continues, we're on pace to have 452 goals for the entire season, regular season.
Wow. Yeah, we're on record-breaking status here. Least surprised. Uh, I'm not going to pick out a team. I'm going to go straight for an issue. I knew going into this season that I was going to be upset with the schedule. After it was released and we all got to, look through it and analyze it, um, and here we are about to go into week 10, and I'm still sitting here thinking, man, this schedule sucks. And I'm not just talking about from one team's perspective. I'm looking across the entire spectrum here. This schedule sucks. Um, Having teams go like you have Richmond who's played 8 matches, and you have Union Omaha and Portland who have 4 matches. There's such a high discrepancy here. There's teams who have had more um, bye weeks in the first few weeks of the season. There are teams that, if you look at their remaining schedule, they don't have a single bye week the rest of the season. Um, which is crazy to think about because these players are there's gonna be wear and tear. There's gonna be lots of roster management heading down the rest of the season, trying to figure out who can we rest and still get some productivity from their replacement and all that kind of stuff. It's just, oh man, not impressed with this schedule.
No, and I don't think anybody was gonna be. Again, as you said, not really super shocking. Finally got that hair off me. Um, Not super shocking. We've seen this kind of before, but it's an issue that the league still has yet to address.
Yeah, and it should be addressed. It's just, man, it's just so crazy. Uh, yeah, oh my gosh, there are several teams who do not have a bye week the rest of the season. And the amount of teams that have who double up their matches versus teams that don't have to double up their matches, that's crazy too. Look, we didn't get to do a rant about the schedule when it was first released. So just, you know, this is me just sort of releasing some of that ire.
Yeah. I mean, it's well deserved.
All right, so let's look ahead at. We also had 2 other Open Cup matches. We had AV Alta, who went to FC Dallas, losing, what was it, 2-1?
Yeah.
And then
Did not
Chattanooga
watch
went,
it.
to Nashville, and I think they lost 1-0,
So AV Alta lost 3-1.
3-1, which I will maintain that I think the FC Dallas and AV Alta match was far closer than that score line shows. Um, I can't remember what the XG on it was, but it was here. Let me look it up really quick. It was very close. Um, XG, yeah, FC Dallas 0.79 and AV Alta 0.44. Uh, so when AV Alta scored, oh, here we go. Let's do this. Darn it, that's what I want. When AV Alta scored and drew like leveled the score, I was thinking, here we go, man. They're going 120 minutes. I thought for sure they were going 120 minutes. But then, Dallas put one in right before halftime, put another one in late for the dagger in the heart. But impressive showing from AV Alta in their first US Open Cup appearance. That was good from them.
Yeah. And to flip that around too, also the same from the Chattanooga Red Wolves, uh, to play Nashville, give up a goal in the 18th minute, and then still finish the match with 27% of the possession. They faced 15 total shots to their 3. Um, Still only getting out of there with a 1-0 defeat. I think kind of is going to be one of those I keep talking about, these turning point matches for teams, and eventually one of them is going to use it as a springboard. But I think this one is definitely one that Chattanooga can look back on and build from this. I mean, facing that much pressure for that long of a time and still only giving up 1 goal to a Division 1 opponent, that's got to feel really good.
Yeah. And as much as I hate to say it, like it wasn't a close match, but at the same time, if you were able to hold an opponent like Nashville SC to 1-0, you were doing something right. Uh, Chattanooga wasn't able to generate much going the other way, but they were playing defense like their life depended on it. Um, and congrats to Chattanooga. I mean, when you look at their Open Cup run, they had to go to PKs in each of the first 3 rounds before they faced Nashville SC, and that's like pure adrenaline for each of those matches, knowing that as a fan, like, oh god, here we go, 120 minutes again. Oh, here we go, PKs again. It's just, man, that's, yeah, what a
Hmm.
run for them. Like their fans just, especially winning at Chattanooga FC. Oh man, that's historic. All right, week 10 previews. We have 6 matches coming up this weekend. We have one Friday, we have 5 on Saturday. Tomorrow night, we can start off with One Knox hosting Forward Madison.
Yeah. Um, so this is kind of a battle of two teams on the opposite ends. Um, Knoxville knows who they are. They've found out how to score goals, and they've already known how to defend it. And you have Madison still trying to find something to work with this season. And I think, unfortunately, this is gonna sound like it's gonna sound like I'm hating on Ford Madison strictly for being a Union Omaha fan, but this one I don't feel is gonna be super close. I didn't see anything yet this season from Forward Madison that I could point to in this matchup in particular and say this looks like their time to shine. They're not playing an opponent that takes time off, um, or plays inconsistently. Knoxville is pretty consistent all around. And getting through that defense is going to be a bear. I mean, it always is against One Knox, but it's a little bit easier when you have more weapons and more cohesion, um, which Madison just doesn't have yet. So this one's gonna be a tough one, especially for Forward Madison going on the road.
Yeah, most of the matches between these two have ended in a draw. They've had 7 previous meetings, 4 of them being draws. Uh, One Knox winning 2 and Madison winning 1. Um, so this is when we get to know a little bit more about Ford Madison, see them play on the road, see them play against one of the top teams in the league. and also allows us to really see One Knox if they're going to approach this match as if it were a trap game, if you want to call it that. Um, because after Madison, they go to Charlotte, which is a team that has some, I don't think we're dancing around the bush here. We can both say it. Like they have more offensive threats than forward Madison currently does. And do they look past Forward Madison in this one to try to prepare for Charlotte, or do they really take this one in? One Knox could also set another record for home attendance with this match. So hopefully we can get plenty of fans inside of that stadium. That'd be
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
And looking at predictions, what are you thinking?
Ooh, this one, I've made it pretty clear. I think One Knox wins this one. And I don't think Forward Madison has figured out their striking or attacking solutions. So I don't expect Madison to score a goal in this one. I like One Knox in this one. A little bit closer than others would have thought, but One Knox gets out with a 1-0 victory.
Forward Madison has been keeping things close lately. Um, when you think about the amount of goals that are scored in the first half, uh, they've been keeping it pretty close. In the last four matches across, you could even go five matches across all competitions. They've only had three goals scored in those five matches. So they're going to be tested by this One Knox side. Um, at the same time, it's also funny because we talk about Ford Madison not conceding in the first half, but then you also have One Knox who has scored a goal, I think, in the first half of their last, what was it, like almost eight matches or something like that now. And so that's going to be a fun battle too, because it could be that the lead at halftime decides the match. Because we may not expect a whole lot of change once the second half comes. Um, so once again, I will agree with Brian on this one, and I will say One Knox. What did you? You said 1-0.
I
One
said one
Knox. I'll
nil.
say One Knox.
Say the line. Say the line.
And I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go One Knox 3-0.
Oof.
Yeah, yeah. Can't believe I'm saying that, but yeah, I am. All right, so we can go into the 5 Saturday matches. First one, this is an early kickoff, especially since it's like East Coast. It's a 4 p.m. Eastern time kickoff. Westchester hosting Charlotte Independence. We have some storylines associated with this one that you can read about on the league headquarters, the league website. Westchester's head coach Dave Carton returns to Charlotte for the first time since getting hired to Westchester. He was hired by Charlotte back in 2008, and he had various roles within the club, whether it was technical director of the Independence Academy, first team assistant coach, and head coach of Charlotte's USL2 team. You also have returns from Joel Johnson, facing his former club, spent 8 seasons with the Independents, totaling over 220 appearances. And then Obregon Jr. returns to Charlotte, had 20 goals for the Jacks last season. And then Westchester's goalkeeper, Dane Jacoman, made his professional debut with the Independents back in 2022 while on loan from Loudon FC. So there's some fun storylines to track there.
Yeah.
Actually, they're not going to Charlotte. They're playing Charlotte, but they're hosting them. So that's my bad.
Yeah. Um, yeah, this one I know where Westchester sits on the table. Sitting in 11th place, not not great. Charlotte's looking pretty good. Um, maybe maybe a little bit emboldened by that match against Texoma. Maybe it kind of opened their eyes a little bit to, hey, we got to take these teams, even if they're a little bit lower than us in the table, seriously. Um, I think Charlotte's definitely going to come out with their typical style of trying to play wide, and then pass it into the center to kind of disrupt the center backs for Westchester. Flip side for Westchester is I think they're going to come into this one and try a little bit something different. I think they're going to pull back a little bit on the reins of their offense. They have a high scoring offense. They've scored 9 goals this season. The problem is their defense has allowed 11. Um, so I would really expect Westchester to come out a little bit more defensive in this one, and I think Charlotte is going to look um, to exploit that defensive shape a little bit more than they probably usually do. I think it's going to have opportunities for Charlotte to get in there and do some damage. Um, but I really do think that there are some players on this Westchester team that when they start to gel, they're really going to start to gel, and it's just a matter of time for them.
All right, I'm going to put this match on red alert for barn burner status. And here's why. Last 4 matches for Westchester has seen 4 or more goals scored in them. And I'm talking across all competitions. So back when they went to Detroit City FC, there were 4 goals. At Richmond, there were 8 goals. When they hosted Rhode Island, there were 5. And when they went to Spokane, there were 4. On the flip side, when you look at Charlotte, their last 4 has seen 3 or more goals in their matches. So when they hosted North Carolina in the Gold Cup, 4 goals. When they hosted Tormenta in league play, 5 goals. When they went to North Carolina in the Jägermeister Cup, 3 goals. And this match against Texoma last weekend, when they went to Texas, had 7 goals. So I'm putting this one on barn burner alert. You had your warning here. Did you already say your score?
I have not said my score yet. I
Okay,
wrote it
cool. I
down in
didn't
the
want to jump the gun.
I wrote it down in our chat, but
Yeah.
I have not made it public yet.
So I think this one will involve some very free play. At the same time, I think this one, see, these teams have never faced each other. But we also know that these are 2 teams that can throw their body around. We've seen that with Charlotte time and time again. But we've also seen that from Westchester this season in multiple matches. So this one could be high scoring. It could be highly physical. And that is all the makings for a very entertaining match. So be on the lookout for this one. As League One fans, this could be a fun one for us. Could be chaotic, but it could be fun. As far as predictions, oh
Yeah,
man,
I'll let you go first on this one.
I am going to go Charlotte 3-2.
Yeah, that's a good one. Um, so like I was kind of alluding to when talking about this, I really think Westchester's going to come out and look to play a little bit more soundly defensively, and I think Charlotte is going to jump on that. That being said, I think Charlotte jumping on that defensive shape for Westchester is going to lead to Westchester scoring some goals in transition. So I actually like Westchester in this one to get it done 2-1. And I'll take it a step further and say that Obregon Jr. comes in and scores a brace, both goals for Westchester against his former club, because we've seen the wheels on this kid and he can move. And I think that is going to be the deciding factor in this. I think Obregon Jr. is just going to run wild when Charlotte overcommits to the attack.
Okay, I want to take it one step further because you said Obregon comes in and gets a brace. Is he going to come off the bench?
I don't think he'll come off the bench. No,
Okay.
I think he'll get the start.
Okay.
That would be a much more poetic ending to it for Charlotte to go up 1-0 and then have Obregon Jr. come in and do that. But no, I think he gets the start. I think this is going to be Westchester's plan for this match.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. We got Sean in the chat saying, "Oh, so this is what Rich does on girls' night." Yes, it was girls' night, and no, I did not go. But sounds like they had a great time, and I am having a great time as well. All right, so let's get into Chattanooga versus Richmond, and this one is going to be fun too. Um, it's so weird that I was just hyping up the Westchester Charlotte one, and then you see another one like, "Oh, this bright shiny object. Oh, this one's going to be good too."
Yeah. I mean, there's a few storylines in this one. I think the biggest one is Matt Bentley playing Richmond again. He spent his first 2 seasons with Richmond, 7 goals, 3 assists, um, and with 9 matches with Chattanooga, he's got 5 goals already. So 2 seasons, 5 or 9 matches. That he definitely found his team that's going to let him score some goals. So um, that's going to be definitely something to watch in this one. But that being said, I think we have a known commodity in Richmond, right? We know Richmond is Richmond this season. They're kind of back to that point um, that I think a lot of Richmond fans feel like they should be in every single season. Um, with the amount of buy-in that city and that club has, um, I think fans expect them to be there. And honestly, as a fan of the league itself, I expect Richmond to be in the position they're in right now. Then we can go ahead and flip and look at Chattanooga. Some bright spots with Chattanooga. Some dull spots. Only one win, 3 draws, and 1 loss at this point. It ain't gonna kill you to have this many draws this early, but it ain't gonna help you very much either. So um, I look for Chattanooga to get a big boost from their Open Cup match holding Nashville to 1, like I said earlier, and they're going to need it because this Richmond Kickers team is for real this season.
All right, look for drama in this one because it could be dramatic on the scoreboard, which I fully expect it to be. But this matchup in history, in League One history, has the second highest total yellow cards, and it has the most fouls in League One history.
Yeah, I can see that.
Fireworks. Fireworks. And I'm loving it. Okay. This one is going to get testy. And I'm okay with that. Going to the Den. I don't think this one's going to be very high scoring. I think it'll be less than 3 goals total in the match. But Richmond going to Chattanooga. Chattanooga's been pretty dominant at home. As a matter of fact, here's another wrinkle for you. Richmond has never won at Chattanooga. Never won. So if we're getting into predictions, I think it'll be another historic match in the sense of living up to expectations for fouls and yellow cards. I totally see some of those intense battles happening again this season. When we're doing predictions here, I am going to go Richmond 2-1.
Yeah. Um, I really do see I really do see a lot of yellows. In this one, we know how Chattanooga plays. They're a very rough team. Richmond as well. They're a very physical team as well. They both do it in a little bit different styles. I think Chattanooga comes at you a little bit harder than Richmond does. Richmond plays the kind of long con game, the little chips here and there that really get to you over time. And I think Chattanooga just goes for it. Like if I'm gonna foul you, I'm gonna foul you. Um, that being said, definitely fireworks, as you said, Rich. And I'm gonna agree with you. I think Richmond gets the job done in this one. But I like Richmond to keep Chattanooga off the board as well. So um, I like Richmond 2-0 in this.
And we have very specific uh, um, predictions here in the live chat. Sean coming in trying to show us how it's done. He says 3-1 to the Kickers with one off of a penalty, and there will be a second yellow to the Kickers and a straight red to Chattanooga.
Man, 2 red cards and a pen.
Yeah, that's a prediction.
That is a
That's how it's
prediction.
done.
Putting us to shame on that one.
Russ coming in saying Chattanooga is going to win 2-0. Entirely possible.
Yeah.
I mean, when they get up for a game, they play like
Yeah.
when you look at Chattanooga FC, like they played up for that match.
Mhm. Well, we got to remember too that this Richmond Kickers team is on the younger side as well. So you have to really wonder if the physical style that Chattanooga plays is going to kind of get into the younger players' minds a little bit in this one.
Yeah. Yep. Sean also coming in saying um, they've conceded the most penalties this season with 3, but have also been awarded the most penalties this season, also with 3. Um, he also put a 6-leg USL Championship parlay down today, so he's in a
Ooh.
goofy mood. Sean, man,
Oh,
this is awesome. Sean is showing up, man. This guy's a stud. Showing up like this.
man.
He's putting out specific predictions. He's throwing out some stats that help his predictions. And he's throwing out his betting history today, too.
Man. Guys out
That's
here
some good
just
stuff right there.
gambling, just straight gambling. Love to see it.
That's awesome. All right, another match. 7:30 Eastern time kickoff. Tormenta hosting Spokane. Now, last season, this one was a bit of a high-scoring affair. I think it ended up 3-3. But does that mean that that's going to be the same thing again this season? Yeah, the match they played in Statesboro, which is where it will be on Saturday, ended up in a 3-3 draw. You do have the return of Nil Vinyals going to Spokane. He was a part of their USL League Two team. He played as a part of their League One team for a season, played with Richmond for a few years. And tomorrow he could make history as becoming the all-time league assists record holder. If he gets a single assist in the match, he'll have 20 assists.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think in this one, we're seeing Spokane play excellent soccer right now. Um, we're also seeing South Georgia Tormenta playing an improved brand of soccer as well. Um, so it's really, really kind of difficult to separate these two teams. I think the biggest difference in this match is going to be defense. And I think that is going to be the thing that this match comes down to. Which team is going to be able to play defense more effectively? And just based on that stat alone, I mean, you look at Tormenta has conceded 13 goals this season, whereas Spokane has only conceded 6 this season, with one more match played for Spokane as well. So, um, me, that's going to be the biggest difference in this match because both of these teams can score. Tormenta sitting on 11 goals this season, Spokane sitting on 15 goals this season. But I think just the run of form from Spokane in this one is they're just on fire right now, and I don't see that stopping. Um, Going down to Tormenta. Um, I'll throw my prediction out early since I've been putting Rich on the hot seat for the past few ones. I like Spokane in this one, and I don't think it's going to be particularly close. I like Spokane to go down to Statesboro and get this one 3-0.
We were just talking about penalties when it came to the previous match. This could be another one where penalties could make things interesting. Um, there's been a penalty called in, I think, each of the last 6 matches for Tormenta, or something like that for Tormenta.
Feels like it.
You talk about defense, and this is a team that, whether it was Tormenta conceding that penalty or earning that penalty, they've been involved in 6 straight matches or something like that where there was a penalty in it. And they've had their fair share of red cards this season as well. So you could see a little bit of emotion getting into the way here too. But ultimately, all things said and done, I agree with you. I think it's going to be Spokane carrying the victory, and I don't think it's going to be close either. Let me check and see. You said 3-0. Man, I'll go Spokane 3-1. I feel like Tormenta can get a goal. And Tormenta's the team where if you're going to beat them, you have to score a lot because they are always able to score multiple goals on you. But at the same time, we're talking about a Spokane defense that is very, very solid.
Yep.
And at the same time, with as high as a press as Tormenta plays, Spokane has shown that they have the ability to counter very, very quickly. So if Tormenta pushes too high, they're going to get themselves trapped in a situation where their numbers down when they're playing against the counter. And so I see Spokane maybe not pressing too high, but sitting back a little bit, absorbing that pressure, and then just exploding down the other way and looking for the quick counter. So it's going to be a good one. And then we go to Omaha for that matchup, 8 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. Union Omaha hosting Portland Hearts of Pine. Now,
Yeah.
I can't vote in this one, but we can certainly discuss it a little bit.
Yeah. Just on my previous one too, Russ saying Spokane 2-1, Luis Heel scores again. Um, I am keeping track of Sean and Russ's um, predictions in the outline here so we can put that back when the fans inevitably take a bigger step forward this week.
I love that.
Yeah. Portland Hearts Pine coming to Union Omaha. Two teams that right next to each other on the table. Both teams not playing particularly well. Um, the only differentiator here is Union Omaha's lone win, um, because Portland has 3 draws and a loss. So um, this one's going to be interesting. I think Union Omaha needs to figure out who's going to score their goals. I think if Dion Akoff is not in the lineup, I think Union Omaha is going to struggle to move the ball down the side of the pitch like they usually like to at home. Um, and I think, I mean, it is ring ceremony night, so I think there's going to be a little extra motivation for some of these guys, not wanting to come home and disappoint the fans in their first league home match of the season. Um, man, and going back and forth on this one because I could honestly see it going either way, with both of these teams not being super impressive thus far. I think I've picked Union Omaha to lose the past like 2 or 3 times I've done it. Oh, I, mm, I can't do it again. I think I'm gonna give the nod to Union Omaha in this one, but I think it's 1-0. I don't think it's gonna be an overly impressive match for either side, but I do think Omaha will sneak one in. Because Portland also has to come and face, in my opinion, one of the best goalkeepers in the league, Rashid Nuhu. So
So, Portland, in a match where a goal was scored, Portland has conceded first in their last 4 matches. At the same time, when you look at Union Omaha, they've been keeping those score lines very low. 2-0, 0-0, 2-0, 1-0, 1-0, 2-1. Um, I fully anticipate this one being a very close match. Uh, I anticipate this one going down to the wire. Um, should be an exciting one. It's championship celebration. We'll get to see the players with the 2024 championship ring. We'll have the trophies on hand for people to take pictures. There's some new stuff happening at home matches. It's going to be an exciting day, and um, I encourage anybody who is in the Omaha area to come out. I know there are people coming from Des Moines that are coming to the Omaha match on Saturday. So even if you live 2 hours away, you have no excuse not to be at the Union Omaha match. But ultimately, this one's going to be an exciting match. It's going to be great to see all the fans inside Warner Park again, and it'll be fun to see some Union Omaha action. Looks like we have some predictions already coming in. So Russ is saying, without Akoff, 2-0.
yep. And then 3-0 if Akoff plays. Marian is forward and Wooten in, then 3-0. Sean
Okay.
coming in as well, saying 1-1. I could see 2-1 with Max and Woot.
Okay. All right. So there's still some positivity from everybody here. I
Mhm.
know there was initially some doubt on your end, but you eventually came around and you picked Union Omaha to win it.
Yeah, I'm not confident about it, but that's what I did. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm
The
glad you came
only
around.
I'll tell you the only thing I am confident in is confident I will be sitting next to my seat neighbor Russ at the match. So
I'm so excited. I got to meet Russ in person. It was so cool.
Russ is a great guy. Russ and his wife Julie, two of the best ones out there.
I didn't even know he knew who I was. He just walked up to me and said, "Hey, my name's Russ. I sit next to Brian." Like, "Oh my God, you're Russ."
Yep. Yep. Russ has been talked about off of so we do either pre or post show hangouts where me and Rich just talk. So um yeah, a lot of topics come up. Russ coming in saying the Wrexham hat will be there.
Hey, he's coming in
Perfect.
style too. All right, last match of week 10. And this is where our bet comes into place. The first stage of it, at least. We have AV Alta FC hosting Texoma FC. You have a really good team at home in AV Alta, and you have a Texoma team we've seen vast improvements in the past few weeks.
Oh
They
yeah.
aren't able to get those results, but they're getting closer and closer to that point.
Yeah. So I went and put myself out on a limb last week. I thought I saw some things from Texoma that bode well for them. And it almost came to fruition for them. In my opinion, if I picked them to win and they would have come out with a draw, I would have considered that a victory in my own head at the very least for me picking them in that one. That being said, this is a very different team. AV Alta at home does not take nights off like Charlotte on the road does from time to time. Um, AV Alta is a put together team at home. They're sitting in the final playoff spot at this point. Um, and I'm trying really hard to see where Texoma is going to be able to burn um, AV Alta. And I mean, stat wise, there's just not a single place where they're going to be able to do that. I think they allow far too many goals, sitting on 17 goals allowed already this season. Um, I think I think AV Alta is going to jump on that, especially being at home. I would love to predict a Texoma victory and see them come out. I think they'll be competitive. I don't think we're going to see a complete stomping in this one. Um, but I do think AV Alta wins and comfortably. The score may be a little closer than people perceive, but I do like AV Alta to get this one done. And I want to say 2-1.
Sean coming in saying, "I want the homie Perkins to ball out at for Texoma, but it just isn't happening in this match. 2-0 Alta."
John 2-0
Russ
Alta.
also coming in saying Texoma unfortunately will lose 1 or 2-1. So AV Alta with a 2-1 victory. So you and Russ agree, AV Alta 2-1. Okay.
Ooh, I see the gears turning.
Yeah, I'm gonna go against the grain. I'm gonna pick
Oh,
Texoma.
oh,
Yeah, it's my turn.
your yeah.
um, I really like what I've been seeing from Texoma in their last few matches. I think they're right there. They're almost over the hump. and I think this is the match where they get over the hump. Um, for me, it's just a matter of the score because AV Alta's lost four straight across all competitions,
Yeah.
but they win so often at home. They've only lost once at home. I'm still gonna go Texoma. I will say Texoma. I'll go Texoma 2-1.
Damn.
Gonna go against the grain.
Gotta go against the grain every once in a while. And
Yeah.
it's one of those where there's justifiable reasons as to why that could happen. And that's the best part about this league is like you have these matchups that seem like David and Goliath matchups, but when you dig deeper into it, like you said, they've lost their last four matches across all competitions. And then you have like last week, Charlotte takes weeks off and Texoma was able to capitalize on that. So I think calling the Texoma I would call it an upset at this point. Calling a Texoma upset in this one really is not any crazier than what I called last week, and that nearly came to fruition. So I think I agree with you, Rich. I think they are on the precipice of breaking through and showing their actual potential. Do I think they're going to come through at the end of the season and be a playoff team? I think that's a little bit premature to say. Um, but I think you might be onto something, and I'm not going to change my prediction, but thinking about it, that's not bad thinking there.
And it's crazy to think about because when you look at AV Alta's lineup, they have Carlos Aviles in goal, Luca Mastrantonio on the back line, Jerry Desdunes up top, um, Alexis Cerritos, Jimmy Villalobos. They have so much talent on that side. And so when I think about me saying Texoma 2-1, it seems a little crazy. But I like what I've seen from Texoma. So I have faith and I'm going to commit to that faith. And I'm just hoping like hell they don't burn me this week. Um, yeah, yeah, I'm going Texoma. Um, Chris coming in, insert clip of little kids saying, "You're gonna lose, you're gonna lose." And then Sean saying, "Isn't Alta only 2-0-3?"
In
Um,
league play, yes, they are.
in league play, yes, but across all competitions, they have 5 wins and 6 losses, and 4 of those, no, all of their wins have come at home, and only one of their losses has come at home. So, oh, I'm going out on a limb with this one. Oof. Okay.
Hey
Yeah.
man, it's not any crazier than mine last week, and that nearly worked out. So
It really okay. I texted Brian as soon as Texoma took a 1-0 lead, and I was freaking out because I was thinking if Texoma holds off or holds on to hold a 1-0 win and Brian gets the exacto, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. Well, let me check our social media really quick to see if we have any questions in our posts. I don't see anything on Twitter. I don't see anything on Blue Sky. So, with that said, I mean, we can start wrapping up the show, unless somebody has another question there in the live chat. But I think we're doing okay.
yeah, yeah, I think we're set up for another great weekend of League One action. It's going to be really nice as a Union Omaha fan to get back out to Warner Park for a match. Um, I know people, myself included, kind of dump on it being a baseball stadium, but it is really nice to go back to the stadium that you're used to playing in. Um, Getting to the tailgates early, seeing everybody again inside that area because there's a lot of people that don't are unwilling or unable to get down to Caniglia for those matches. And the weather wasn't always super cooperative for those either. So this weekend's weather's looking absolutely gorgeous, like mid 70s at kickoff. There hasn't been any wind hardly this entire week, which for Nebraska is absolutely insane. I don't think they're calling for a whole lot of wind either. So, uh, I mean, it could be a top 5 day of the year to go and watch Union Omaha play Portland.
Really good. And I'm sure Portland will be really happy because they don't want to play another match in a complete downpour like they did last year or last week.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they'll take what they can get. But it's going to be another great week of League One action. Wherever you may be watching or listening to us, make sure that you get to a League One stadium this weekend to watch some action. I know Sean, Russ, and Chris are going to be in their stadiums. I know Luke is going to be in his stadium down there in Tormenta. So um, it's going to be another exciting week of League One action, and we can't wait to talk about it again next week. My name is Rich. You can find me on social media at Twitter and Blue Sky at I'm Rich But I'm Not. And that is Brian. You can find him on Twitter at Mediocre Ace.
All
We'll
right.
see you next week.
Thanks, guys.